everyone, welcome to Biology with MJ. This is MJ, your enthusiastic guide. So whether you are a NEET aspirant or simply a biology lover, this video is filled with valuable insights and knowledge. Okay, so stay tuned till the end of the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss an update. Remember to like, comment and share this video with your friends. Okay, so let's get to the video.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to end this chapter with these topics. So we will be covering kingdom Plantae and Animalia in brief in this video, and then we will be covering viruses, Viroids, Prions and Lichens. Okay, for the previous videos of this chapter having the detailed explanation of all the topics, you should check out this playlist. Okay, I would definitely recommend you to go through all of these videos so that you have crystal clear understanding of all of the concepts and explanations. Okay, and before moving ahead and starting this video, I would like to know your suggestions on one of the things. So I've been receiving many comments from students that instead of 4 to 5 videos on one chapter, they want me to create one short video. Okay, so let me know your suggestions on this, that do you want a one short video of a chapter, okay, a single video covering the entire chapter, or just as I've been making the videos in the form of 4 to 5 videos of each chapter covering each and every topic in detail. So let me know which option suits you the best, or do you want me to make 4 to 5 videos and explain the entire chapter in detail, and at the end make a one dose video of the entire chapter as well. So let me know out of these 3 options which one will suit you the best. Okay, and let me know all of this in the comment section below. Okay, stay tuned till the end of this video because we would be solving the last 10-year NEET previous year questions also at the end of this video, and you will be thoroughly prepared with this topic by the end of this video. Okay, so stay tuned. Let us move forward with the video. So kingdom Plantae comprises of, as the name suggests, plants. Okay, so plants are eukaryotic organisms. They contain chlorophyll. That is why they are able to perform photosynthesis, that is, synthesize their own food. Okay, so kingdom Plantae comprises of eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms, and these are commonly known as plants. They are autotrophic because they can synthesize their own food via the process of photosynthesis, and photosynthesis is occurring because they have chlorophyll in them. Okay, so this is the equation of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight is being synthesized into sugar, and oxygen is being released. Okay, as you can see in this image, the process of photosynthesis is taking place in the presence of sunlight. The raw materials required for photosynthesis are sunlight, carbon dioxide, okay, and water. Okay, so all of these raw materials are required in order to synthesize sugar, which is the result or the end product of photosynthesis, and oxygen is released as a byproduct. Okay, so this is how the plants are synthesizing their food in the form of sugars. Now, few members of kingdom Plantae are partially heterotrophic also. That is, they are dependent upon other organisms for obtaining their nutrition partially. Not completely, they are able to synthesize their own food also, but partially they are also dependent on other organisms also in order to synthesize their or obtain nutrition. Okay, so these plants are known as insectivorous plants. इन plants को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Insectivorous plants. इनके examples हो गए bladderwort and Venus flytrap, or parasitic plants such as Cuscuta. So these are the examples of partially heterotrophic plants. So as you can see in these images, this is Venus flytrap, which is an insectivorous plant. ठीक है, an insect will come and sit over here. As soon as it detects that the insect has sat over its surface at this location or any of its part, okay, it will immediately snap and close, okay, and digest the insect in its body. Okay, it will eat the insect because it is an insectivorous plant, and insectivorous means kya? Eating the insect. Okay, This is bladderwort. This is also an insectivorous plant. This is cuscuta. This is a parasitic plant. Okay. So these were insectivorous plants that were eating insects in order to derive nutrition. Okay. That is why they are partially heterotrophic. They are able to synthesize their own food, but they are also dependent on external substances, for example, insects in this case. Then there is cuscuta, which is a parasitic plant. Cuscuta parasitizes other plants and attaches itself on their surface in order to derive nutrition from those plants. So that is why it is known as a parasitic plant. So plants have the cell structure of plants are eukaryotic. Plants are eukaryotic, so their cell structure is also eukaryotic only. They have a cellulosic cell wall. Then they have all the presence of all the membrane bound organelles, and one of the major organelles is chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll, which is responsible for photosynthesis, which is why the plants have autotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. That is why it is being called as cellulosic cell wall. So they have a eukaryotic cell organization because plants are eukaryotic organisms only. Their cells are eukaryotic cells. So plant kingdom, if we divide them into various groups, it is divided into two major groups, okay, cryptogams and phanerogams. In cryptogams, what happens is spores are produced. They reproduce via spores. And in phanerogams, what happens? Flowers and seeds are produced. Okay, they reproduce via flowers or seeds. So cryptogams are divided into these groups: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, and phanerogams are divided into gymnosperms and angiosperms. Now, so as I already told, all of these are the major classes. These are the major groups that are present under kingdom Plantae. Okay, Thallophyta here is also known as algae. Okay, it comprises of algae. Then there are Bryophyta, then Pteridophyta. All of these comes under cryptogams, and gymnosperms and angiosperms come under phanerogams. So these are the 5 major groups that are present under kingdom Plantae. As you can see in these images, this is the image of algae. These are bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, as you can see, angiosperms are flower producing plants. Okay, they are the flowering plants. Now, the life cycle of plants has 2 distinct phases. Okay, a diploid sporophytic phase and a haploid gametophyte phase. These phases alternate with each other. Okay, the length of these phases is of variable durations and it will differ from plant group to plant group. अलग-अलग plant groups जो होंगे उनके ऊपर डिपेंड करते हुए इन साइकिल्स का जो लेंथ है, इन फेजेस का जो लेंथ है वो वेरी करेगा. जिम्नोस्पर्म्स में अलग होगी लेंथ, एंजियोस्पर्म्स में अलग होगी, ब्रायोफाइट्स में अलग होगी. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज फेजेस differ depending upon the plant group they are being talked about. Okay, so as you can see in this image, in the diploid phase, that is the diploid sporophytic phase, this is the sporophyte which is producing spores via meiosis. Okay, the spores will then undergo mitosis in order to produce the gametophyte, which is the gamete producing structure. The gametes are then produced which fuse with each other to form a zygote. The zygote will then undergo meiosis to form the sporophyte again, which is the plant body, diploid plant body, which is again capable of producing spores. So in this way, alternation of generations is happening. Okay, the 2n generation is alternating with the n generation. The diploid generation is alternating with the haploid generation. This phenomena is known as alternation of generations. Okay, and the length of the diploid phase and haploid phase will vary depending upon the plant group. Okay, it will vary from, in bryophytes it would be different, pteridophytes it would be different, gymnosperms and angiosperms it would be different. Okay, now before moving forward, please do not forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Telegram. I post content on all of these platforms as well. So do follow me on these platforms. The links of all of these platforms are provided in the description of this YouTube video. I do not want you to miss any update. If you will follow me on these platforms, you will never miss any video update from me. And you will also be receiving some quality content on these platforms from me as well. Okay, now let us move forward. Now, talking about kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia, as the name suggests, comprises of animals. Okay, animals are heterotrophic organisms. They are also eukaryotic. Heterotrophic means that they cannot synthesize their own food. They are dependent upon external sources in order to derive their nutrition or obtain their food. They are multicellular. They lack cell walls. Now, plants had cell walls in them. Okay, a cellulosic cell wall was present, but animals, they lack cell walls. Only cell membrane is present and that is it. Cell wall is not present beyond the cell membrane. They have a holozoic mode of nutrition. Okay, holozoic mode of nutrition means that they ingest their food and digest it internally. Okay, they ingest their food through the mouth and then undergo processes like digestion, assimilation, absorption, excretion. All of these processes are occurring inside their body after they ingest their food. So all of the digestion processes are occurring internally. So this is the meaning of holozoic mode of nutrition. They store food reserves as glycogen or fat. Okay, the food, जो food है वो उसको वो store भी करके रखते हैं. जो extra excess food होता है, it is stored as glycogen or as fat. As glycogen, it is stored in liver or muscles, and as fat, it is stored in the adipose tissue. Okay, as you can see in this diagram, this is liver. In it, glycogen is stored. Okay, as food reserve. Food reserves of glycogen are present in the liver. So, blood glucose here is mentioned because whenever the blood sugar levels will drop, this glycogen would be broken down into blood glucose in order to supplement that need of blood sugar. Okay, this is how reserve food materials are important and come handy when the body is in need of them. And these are the fat cells in which, or these are the adipose tissues in which the fat is stored. Okay, so this was about kingdom Animalia here. Now, animals, they follow a definite growth pattern. Okay, they have a defined growth pattern that this is how the organism will go through the various stages of its lives. At this age, it will attain this structure and this height, and then as it will go on, it will grow into a mature individual. Okay, so they follow a definite growth pattern. Then they grow into adults that have a definite shape and size. हर एक organism, when it will grow, it will ultimately the end stage is an adult individual, a mature organism. Okay, हर एक mature organism का एक definite shape and size होगा. So if you, in this image, the organism started off as an egg. Okay, then this is the baby organism. Then as it is going further in age, okay, as it is maturing, this is the final stage. This is the adult individual. Now it has a definite shape and size. Okay, so ये duck के example से बता रखा है, पर सभी organisms में आपको एक ऐसा growth pattern you can see. Okay, in human beings also there is a baby, then there comes the human being grows in size, then puberty comes. Okay, and then the human being will grow into a mature individual. Okay, so this is how the definite growth patterns are seen in all of the members of kingdom Animalia. Now, higher forms, they show elaborate sensory and neuromotor mechanisms. Higher forms जो होती हैं kingdom Animalia में, the complex animals, they have elaborate sensory and neuromotor organisms. They are capable of locomotion. They can move around properly. Okay, and they have well developed sense organs. Okay, they have neuromotor coordination. Okay, the sexual reproduction is by the copulation of male and female followed by embryological development. Sexual reproduction कैसे होता है kingdom Animalia में? It occurs by the copulation of the male and female. Okay, the male and female will, copulation means they will mate with each other. Then gametes, the male gamete will fuse with the female gamete in order to produce a zygote. The zygote will then form the embryo. The embryological development will take place and finally a baby would be formed. Okay, so this is how sexual reproduction takes place in kingdom Animalia. Now, in the 5 kingdom classification of Whittaker, there is no mention of acellular organisms. There are certain acellular organisms also that exist, for example, viruses. So, have you ever wondered where are they kept in this 5 kingdom classification of Whittaker? Nowhere, right? So, these organisms, which are viruses, viroids, prions and lichens, they are not mentioned in 5 kingdom classification of Whittaker because they are acellular organisms. That is, they lack a cell. They do not comprise of a cell. They are existing without a cell. Their body organization does not requires them to have a cell. Okay, so because of the lack of the cell, they are known as acellular organisms. Okay. Now, why aren't they kept in the 5 kingdom classification? Because the criteria of the 5 kingdom classification required the organisms to have a well-defined cell structure and body organization. But in these organisms, in viruses, viroids, prions and lichens, the cell is absent. So, the basic criteria of fitting into the 5 kingdom classification is not being met. So, why would they be kept in the 5 kingdom classification? Because now they do not have a cell. Okay, leave alone cell structure, they do not even have a cell. So, how do we talk about cell structure and body organization? So, because of the absence of a cell, they had no place, they found no place in the 5 kingdom classification of Whittaker. Okay. Now, let us understand each of these organisms one by one. We start off with viruses. Okay, viruses are non-cellular organisms. As already told, they are acellular organisms. They have an inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. So, viruses, they infect a host cell. Okay, they cannot exist individually. They need a host cell to replicate themselves. So, outside the host cell, they exist as an inert, okay, inactive crystalline structure. Crystalline state में exist करते हैं. Okay. Viruses are obligate parasites. They need a host in order to survive and replicate themselves. Okay. Because in order to be called alive, they need a host cell. Because only inside the host they are alive. Outside the host, they are inactive. Okay. They are non-living outside the host cell. So that is why they are known as obligate parasites, because in order to be considered living and in order to replicate and produce their progeny, they need a host cell. The term virus means venom or poisonous fluid. Okay, that is why viruses, all of the viruses are capable of infecting the other organisms and causing diseases in them. So that is why the term virus means, that is why the venom or poisonous fluid, the term virus is being assigned to such organisms because they are poisonous. Now, they are inert outside their specific host cells. They are obligate parasites, right? Their biosynthetic machinery is absent. Now, why do they need to infect a host cell? Because they themselves lack a biosynthetic machinery in order to replicate themselves. In order to synthesize proteins or replicate their genetic material, they do not comprise the appropriate biosynthetic machinery within them. They lack that biosynthetic machinery. That is why they need a host cell to hijack its mechanism, its biosynthetic machinery in order to replicate themselves. So once they infect a host cell, they take over the machinery of the host cell. Host cell की जो machinery है उसको वो hijack कर लेंगे to replicate themselves, and जो host है they kill it. They kill the host. Okay. So as you can see, this is a virus. It will attach itself to the host cell. This blue colored cell here is the host cell. Okay, its genetic material will enter inside the host cell. The genetic material will then undergo replication, okay, using the host cell's enzymes. Then it will undergo, this genetic material will then undergo translation. Translation would produce the viral proteins which are required for the synthesis of the complete viral particles. So assembly here is happening. The protein and the genetic material of the virus is being assembled in order to produce a complete viral particle which is then released outside of the host cell. So this is how they are taking over the machinery of the host cell in order to replicate themselves. So what are they using the host cell for? For hijacking its machinery. मशीनरी को वो हाईजैक करेंगे तो वो उसके एंजाइम्स को यूज करेंगे इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरगो द प्रोसेस ऑफ देयर डीएनए और आरएनए व्हाटएवर काइंड ऑफ न्यूक्लिक एसिड दे हैव उसके रेप्लिकेशन के लिए एंड इन ऑर्डर फॉर द ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ द जेनेटिक मटेरियल in order to produce proteins which would be responsible for the formation of the protein coat of the viruses. Okay. So after all this information, what do you think? Are viruses living or non-living? They can be considered as both living and non-living. They are living when they are inside the host cell. Okay, but outside the host cell, they are non-living. Why? Because they exist as inert or crystalline structures outside the host cells. Okay, this inert state in which viruses exist outside the host cell is termed as a virion. Okay, outside the host cell in its crystalline and inactive state, the viruses are termed as virion. And viruses, they are the whole process in which they infect the host cell, and if they are outside, the whole of this process and all of this process, the viruses are termed as viruses. So viruses is the broad term, but specifically when they are present outside the host cell in its inert and crystalline state, that particular stage is known as a virion. But overall, आप किसी भी स्टेज पे देख लोगे वायरल इन्फेक्शन की, पूरे को ही हम वायरस बोलेंगे हर एक स्टेप पे, बट विरियनिक उस पर्टिकुलर हम स्टेट को बोलते हैं. So viruses can be considered as both living and non-living, depending upon where they are present in their life cycle. Okay. Now, Dmitry Vanovsky in 1892, he was a scientist who recognized certain microbes as the causal organism of the mosaic disease of tobacco. So tobacco का एक disease होता है which is known as the mosaic disease of tobacco. So this particular scientist, he recognized that कुछ organisms हैं which are causing this disease. These organisms जब उसको study किया गया, they were found to be smaller than bacteria. They were bacteria से भी छोटे थे वो, because they passed through bacteria proof filters. Okay, they were जो जिन filters से bacteria pass नहीं हो सकते थे, through that filters the viruses were able to pass. Okay, the filters through which the viruses were not able to, the bacteria were not able to pass, these organisms which were causing this disease were able to pass through those filters. Okay, so Dmitry Vanovsky, this is the mosaic disease of tobacco, as you can see in this picture. These are the tobacco leaves showing certain symptoms. It is happening because of this mosaic disease of tobacco, which is caused by a virus. So Dmitry Vanovsky, he first discovered the tobacco mosaic virus, which was responsible for causing the mosaic disease of tobacco. Okay. Now, what happened was in 1898, M.W. Beijering, he demonstrated that the extract of the infected plants of tobacco could cause infection in the healthy plants. Okay. What Beijering demonstrated was that he observed that the extract of these infected tobacco plants, so extract was obtained from this plants. Okay, a fluid was obtained, extracted from these plants. So this fluid was capable of causing infection in the healthy plants as well. Okay, and this fluid, M.W. Beijering, he termed this fluid as contagium vivum fluidum, that is infectious living fluid. Why? Because of obvious reasons, because it was able to cause infection in healthy plants. So he named this new pathogen as virus. Okay, so the term virus was first given by M.W. Beijering. Now, W.M. Stanley in 1935, he showed that viruses could be crystallized and crystals consist largely of proteins. So he first crystallized the viruses. He first observed their crystalline state because he showed he, using laboratory methods and procedures, he showed that viruses can be crystallized, and he observed the structure of those crystals and found that these crystals consist largely of proteins. The majority of the structure is made up of proteins. So Stanley was the first scientist to crystallize tobacco mosaic virus for the first time. All right. Now let's talk about the structure of viruses. So viruses are nucleoproteins. Nucleoproteins means that they are made up of nucleic acid and proteins. The nucleic acid component is the genetic material of the virus. Okay, the genetic material could either be DNA or RNA. No virus would contain both DNA and RNA. Either DNA would be present or RNA would be present. And viruses comprises of, in addition to the nucleic acid, they comprises of a protein coat, okay, which is protecting this nucleic acid or genetic material. So as you can see in this image, this green colored part here is showing the protein coat. Okay, it is made up of protein. This here individual subunit, this is the protein subunit. Okay, it is arranged in a helical structure in order to form a protein coat. Okay, this protein coat is also known as a capsid. And these individual protein subunits are called capsomeres. So a capsid is made up of capsomeres. The capsomere is the subunit which makes up the capsid. Now this protein coat is, or capsid, is protecting the genetic material, which is RNA in this case. This red colored structure here represents RNA. This was the example of a helical virus. Okay, क्योंकि यहाँ पे एक हेलिकल स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्म कर रहा है प्रोटीन कोट. ओके, एक ट्विस्टेड हेलिकल आपको शेप दिख रहा है वायरस का. नाउ वायरसेस के बहुत सारे शेप्स होते हैं. नाउ दिस इज अ पॉलीहेड्रल वायरस. ओके, एक ऐसे आपको पॉलीहेड्रल सा शेप दिख रहा है इसके प्रोटीन कोट का. ये जो ब्लू कलर्ड के सर्कल्स आपको दिख रहे हैं, दीज आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग द प्रोटीन सब यूनिट्स और कैप्सोमियर्स. And this whole structure is known as this whole blue colored structure is known as a capsid. And these individual structures are known as capsomeres, which make up the capsid. Now this is protecting what? Nucleic acid. This could either be DNA or RNA. Okay. Now as you can see, viruses के बहुत सारे shapes होते हैं. It could be a polyhedral shape, a spherical shape, a rod, a helical shape, or a complex shape. Okay. सब वायरसेस के एग्जाम्पल भी दे रखे हैं. डेनो वायरस में पॉलीहेड्रल शेप देखने को मिलता है. इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस का स्फेरिकल शेप होता है. टोबैको मेसोइक वायरस हैज अ हेलिकल शेप, ओके, और अ रॉड शेप स्ट्रक्चर. बैक्टीरियोफाजेस जो होते हैं, दे हैव अ कॉम्प्लेक्स काइंड ऑफ शेप और स्ट्रक्चर. ओके. नाउ वायरसेस दैट इन्फेक्ट द प्लांट्स आर सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए वायरसेस. ओके, उनका जो जेनेटिक मटेरियल होता है वो आरएनए होता है, एंड आरएनए भी सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए होता है. एक ही स्ट्रैंड होगा उस आरएनए. सो वायरसेस दैट इन्फेक्ट द प्लांट्स हैव सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए, whereas the viruses that infect the animals can either have a single stranded RNA, a double stranded RNA, or a double stranded DNA. डबल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए कौन सा होगा? जिसमें दो स्ट्रैंड्स होंगे आरएनए के. डबल स्ट्रैंडेड डीएनए जिसमें दो स्ट्रैंड्स होंगे डीएनए के. सो वायरसेस दैट इन्फेक्ट एनिमल्स, उनमें हमें इन तीनों में से कुछ भी देखने को मिल सकता है, बट द वायरसेस व्हिच इन्फेक्ट द प्लांट्स, उनमें सिर्फ सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए होगा. नाउ बैक्टीरियल वायरसेस और बैक्टीरियोफाजेस जिसको हम बोलते हैं, व्हाट आर बैक्टीरियोफाजेस? बैक्टीरियोफाजेस आर द वायरसेस व्हिच इन्फेक्ट द बैक्टीरिया. And they are usually double-stranded DNA viruses. Okay, they are double-stranded DNA viruses. Bacteriophages are what? They are those viruses which specifically infect the bacteria. That is why they are known as bacterial viruses or bacteriophages. Okay, they have double-stranded DNA in them. So this is the structure of a bacteriophage, a typical bacteriophage. This is the head. Okay, head comprises of the genetic material. Okay, that is DNA in this case. This is the collar, this is the sheath or the tail zone. These are the tail fibers. Okay, this is the tail tube, also known as a sheath. Okay, a sheath is covering this tail tube, and these are the tail fibers. So this is the typical structure of a bacteriophage. Now, did you know coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2 is a single-stranded RNA virus? कोरोना वायरस, ओके, अभी कोविड का पैंडेमिक हुआ था, राइट? जो कोरोना वायरस है, इट इज अ सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए वायरस ओनली. ये पीस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इट कैन come in your competitive exams as a general knowledge question. So please note this important piece of information, that coronavirus was a single stranded RNA virus. So viruses, as the name suggests, they are capable of causing various diseases because they are infectious agents. So these diseases are mumps, smallpox, herpes, influenza, AIDS. Okay, AIDS here is caused in humans by HIV virus. Okay, which HIV का full form क्या है? Human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, so as you can see in this image, this is the herpes condition which is caused by the virus causing herpes. This is the influenza condition. Okay, now symptoms in plants, viral symptoms in plants include mosaic formation, leaf rolling and curling, yellowing and vein clearing, dwarfing and stunted growth. Okay, as you can see in this image, this is the mosaic formation in leaves. This is the tomato leaf curl. So all of these symptoms are caused in plants by virus infection. Okay, now let's come to viroids. Viroids were discovered by Theo Diner in 1971. What are viroids? Viroids are smaller than viruses. Okay, they are free circular single-stranded RNA which lack protein coat. Okay, hence their name is viroid. They lack protein coat. They are free single-stranded RNAs only, which are circular RNAs. Okay, the RNA जो होता है इनका, it is of low molecular weight, and these viroids, they are responsible for causing the potato spindle tuber disease. What happens in this disease? पोटैटो का जो शेप होता है वो स्पिंडल लाइक हो जाता है, एक स्पिंडली सा शेप हो जाता है, बिकॉज पोटैटो प्लांट को विरोइड्स इन्फेक्ट कर लेते हैं. बिकॉज ऑफ द विरोइड इन्फेक्शन, द potatoes assume and form this spindle like shape. So these viroids were discovered by Theo Diner in 1971. Okay, they are smaller than viruses, cause the potato spindle tuber disease. What is their structure? They are basically, they do not have a protein coat. They are free circular single-stranded RNAs, and this circular single-stranded RNA, when it will fold, it will assume a shape like this. Okay, अब ये जो circular RNA होगा, कुछ बॉन्डिंग होगी आपस में, बेसिस के बीच में कुछ फोल्डिंग होगी, उसकी वजह से एक ऐसा रॉड लाइक स्ट्रक्चर आपको देखने को मिल जाएगा उसमें. ओके, सो द आरएनए जो होता है, ये जो आरएनए है, इट इज ऑफ लो मॉलिक्यूलर वेट, एंड ये सर्कुलर सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए से ही बने होते हैं, जो फोल्डिंग की वजह से आपस में बॉन्ड्स बनाने की वजह से एक ऐसा सा स्ट्रक्चर रिज्यूम कर लेंगे. नाउ प्रायॉन्स पे आ जाते हैं. प्रायॉन्स आर abnormally folded proteins. Okay, now viroids were here RNA only, they comprised of free single stranded RNA only, but prions, they do not comprise of RNA, they are abnormally folded proteins. Viroids, they lacked protein coat, but prions are basically only proteins which are abnormally folded. They are also transmitter of certain infectious neurological diseases. Okay, they are similar in size to viruses. Okay, comparable size होता है इनका viruses से. Viroids were smaller than viruses, but prions are similar in size to viruses. So they cause certain infectious neurological diseases, right? They are the transmitter of such diseases. So examples are bovine spongiform encephalopathy (BSE), which is also known as mad cow disease in cattle. Okay, mad cow disease जो होता है, it is caused in cattle by prions. Okay, they transmit this disease. And इसका analogous variant है CR Jacob disease, which is caused in humans. Okay, इसी का ही parallel एक analogous variant जो है, जो humans में देखने को मिलता है, उसको हम CR Jacob disease बोलते हैं. So this is the mad cow disease. ये ह्यूमन बींग्स का जो है ब्रेन का स्ट्रक्चर दिखा रखा है जिसमें सीआर जेकब डिजीज की वजह से जो कि हो रहा है, एंड दिस इज द प्रायन स्ट्रक्चर, ओके, विच इज एबनॉर्मली फोल्डेड प्रोटीन. Now let's come to lichens. Now lichens क्या होते हैं? Lichens are symbiotic associations or mutually beneficial associations between algae and fungi. Algae and fungi के ऐसे associations होते हैं, इतने ज़्यादा close associations होते हैं that you cannot differentiate between the algal component and the fungal component when you look at a lichen. So as you can see in this image, this is a lichen. क्या आप इसमें differentiate कर पा रहे हो कि fungus कौन सा है and algae कौन सा है? नहीं कर पा रहे, right? Because they are very close associations between an algae and a fungi. Algal component is known as the phycobiont and the fungal component is known as the mycobiont. The phycobiont component or the algae, it is autotrophic. That is, it can synthesize its own food. It prepares the food for fungi. How is it benefiting the fungi? How is algae benefiting the fungi? Because it is preparing the food for the fungal component. Okay? The association needs to have certain purpose. That is why they are mutually existing in such an association. So what happens here is the algae is preparing food for the fungi, and what is fungi doing for algae? It is providing shelter to the algae. It absorbs mineral nutrients and water for algae. Okay, so this is how they are both benefiting each other in this symbiotic relationship. Now, lichens are very good pollution indicators. Very important point to note that lichens are very good pollution indicators because you will not see lichen growing in polluted areas. Only in those areas which are pollution free or has very less level of pollution can you see lichens growing. So these are very good pollution indicators. Now let's come to NEET PYQs. The first question here is from NEET 2020. Which of the following is correct about viroids? They have DNA with protein coat. They have free DNA without protein coat. They have RNA with protein coat. They have free RNA without protein coat. So what did we study in viroids? That viroids lack a protein coat. So option number 1 in C, so we have to reject because it is showing with protein coat. Without protein coat, we have only two options, that is option B and D. Now, what about their genetic material? Viroids are what? They are basically single-stranded RNA. Okay? Single-stranded RNA only they are. So, RNA is present in option number D. So, we have to eliminate option number B also. So, the correct answer here is option number D because viroids are single-stranded circular free RNAs which lack a protein coat. So, the correct answer is option number D. Which of the following statements is incorrect from NEET 2019? Option A is saying viruses are obligate parasites. Yes, this statement is true. It is correct. Viruses are obligate parasites. They cannot be called alive without a host. Only when they are inside a host, they are able to replicate themselves. And only when they are inside the host, they can be called as living. They are intracellular parasites. So this statement is correct. Infective constituent in viruses is the protein coat. This statement is incorrect. Okay, why? Because the protein coat is left outside. Only the genetic material of the virus enters the host cell. The protein coat is left outside the host cell. So, infective constituent is not the protein coat. Infective constituent is the nucleic acid of the virus. So, this statement is incorrect. And we had to tell the incorrect statement only, right? So, the correct answer would be option number B. But let us look at the other options as well. Prions consist of abnormally folded proteins. Yes, prions are abnormally folded proteins only. Viroids lack a protein coat. Yes, this is true. Viroids do not have a protein. They are single-stranded RNA molecules only. Now, this question is from NEET 2017. Viroids differ from viruses in having DNA molecules with protein coat, DNA molecules without protein coat, RNA molecules with protein coat, या RNA molecules without protein coat. So the correct answer is option number D. We have solved just a similar question to this a few minutes before only. So the correct answer is option number D. But you should note that this topic of viruses and viroids is very important because repeated questions are occurring or appearing from this topic. So viroids differ from viruses in having RNA molecules without protein code, because viroids lack a protein code. Viruses have a protein code. Viruses also have a genetic material which could either be DNA or RNA, but viroids are basically single-stranded RNA molecules which are circular and which are freely existing. Okay. Now, from NEET 2016, which of the following statements is wrong for viroids? Again, a repeated question from viroids. So, viroids here is a very important topic. You should all prepare this thoroughly. So, they lack a protein code. Yes, this is true. They are smaller than viruses. Yes, viroids are smaller than viruses. They cause infections. Yes, they cause diseases. Potato spindle tuber disease was being caused by viroids only. So, their RNA is of high molecular weight. This statement here is incorrect. Their RNA is of low molecular weight. Okay. So, the correct answer would be option number D, because we had to tell the wrong statement only. So, the correct answer is option number D, because it represents the wrong statement. Now, this question is from AIIMS 2015. We have to select the wrong statement. Mosaic disease and tobacco and AIDS in human beings are caused by viruses. This statement is true. Yes, mosaic disease and tobacco is caused by tobacco mosaic virus, and AIDS in human beings is caused by human immunodeficiency virus, which is the HIV virus. So, this statement is correct. The viroids are discovered by DJ Ivanovsky. Is this statement correct? No, the statement is incorrect, because the viroids were discovered by T.O. Diner, not DJ Ivanovsky. Statement C is saying W.M. Stanley showed that viruses could be crystallized. Yes, Stanley was the first scientist to show that viruses could be the tobacco. He was the first scientist to crystallize the tobacco mosaic virus. So yes, this statement is true. The term contagium vivum fluidum was coined by M.W. Bidger Inc. Yes, this statement is also true. Here the spelling should be this. So we had to tell the wrong statement. So the wrong statement is option number 2, which gives us our correct answer. Okay, again you can see the repeated questions from viruses and viroids. So these acellular organisms in its totality is a very important topic. So please prepare it thoroughly. So this question is from AIIMS 2014. Which of the following shows coiled RNA strand and capsomeres? Poliovirus, measles virus, tobacco mosaic virus, and retrovirus. So we have just studied about tobacco mosaic virus. Tobacco mosaic virus is a RNA virus. Okay. It has a coiled RNA strand, and capsomeres are present which are protecting that RNA strand. So the correct answer is option number B. I'll show you once again the image of the tobacco mosaic virus. See, this is the structure of the tobacco mosaic virus. A coiled RNA is present, and this is the capsid, which is made up of capsomeres. Each of these structure is known as a capsomere. Okay. Moving forward. So the correct answer here is option number B, tobacco mosaic virus. Which statement is wrong for viruses from AIIMS 2012? All are parasites? Yes, all viruses are obligate parasites. All of them have helical symmetry? No, this is incorrect, because we have seen in our lecture that viruses can have various kinds of shapes. They could be helical, they could be polyhedral, they could be spherical, they could have a complex shape. So it is not that all of them will have a helical symmetry only. They can have different kinds of symmetry. They can be icosahedral. Okay. So this statement is incorrect, and we had to tell the wrong statement only, which is why option B would be our correct answer, because we had to tell the wrong statement only. Option C is saying they have the ability to synthesize nucleic acids and proteins. Yes, they do have the ability to synthesize nucleic acids and proteins using the host cell's biosynthetic machinery. Antibiotics have no effect on them. Yes, this statement is true. Antibiotics have effect on bacteria, not viruses. Okay. Antibiotics are made for bacteria only in order to counter the bacterial infections. For viruses, antiviral drugs are there. So antibiotics have no effect on viruses. So this statement is correct. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is option number B. This question here is from AIPMT 2010. Virus envelope is known as capsid, virion, nucleoprotein or core. Virus envelope is known as capsid, which is also known as the protein coat. It envelops, the name is only giving you away the answer. It envelops or protects the genetic material. Okay, the genetic material is known as the core. Okay, in the core it is present. That is why it is known as the core. Nucleoprotein is what the virus is, made up of nucleic acid and proteins. It is describing the whole virus. But here we were asked about the virus envelope only. Virion is the state of virus when it is existing in a crystalline and inert or inactive state outside the host cell. Okay, so the correct answer is option number A. AIPMT 22009, T.O. Diner discovered a free infectious RNA, free infectious DNA, infectious protein or bacteriophage. Correct answer would be T.O. Diner discovered viroids, right? Viroids are free infectious RNAs. So the correct answer is option number A. So that was all for today's video, students. We have solved the last 10-year NEET previous year questions, and now you must be thoroughly prepared with this topic. Okay? Now see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you have any feedback and suggestions, or if you found something useful, do let me know in the comments below, and like this video, definitely share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.